Hello,
Hello,
Kallam.
good evening, Thakur. Do you hear me?
Nirmal Chamba, Nandi.
Hello.
স্যার উনি মনে হয় আমাদের কথা শুনতে পাচ্ছেন না, কিন্তু ওনাদের কথা শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
हाँ, नमस्ते।
ও ওকে ওকে স্যার,
Namaste.
ওকে
हाँ,
স্যার,
हम
ওকে
ज्वाइन
স্যার।
Thakur,
कर
good
लिए हैं।
evening. Do you hear me?
जी अच्छा, कर लिए।
गुड इवनिंग सर।
यहीं बैठो। कर लिए, मस्त है।
थोड़ा आपके को जीता है।
धीरेन्द्र, नमस्ते। सुनील जी, नमस्कार।
नमस्कार सर।
शेयर कर सकते स्क्रीन। हाँ, ये लोग यहाँ से ये करेगा तब ना स्टार्ट।
नहीं आपको स्क्रीन शेयर करना है ना।
हमको क्या करना है, स्क्रीन शेयर करना है। कर दें ना, वो बोल इस करने के बाद
कर दूं शेयर।
कर दीजिए।
ঠাকুরদা আমার কথা শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
साउंड तो उधर से कुछ आ नहीं रहा
साउंड नहीं आ रही
ना, कुछ नहीं।
एक मिनट।
ऑर्गेनाइजर के वहां से जैसे
अब
हाँ,
आ रही?
अब आ रहा
স্যার
है।
কিছু
हाँ
শুনতে পাচ্ছেন না।
হ্যাঁ, আমার কথা শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
हाँ, এখন শোনা যাচ্ছে। হ্যাঁ,
এখন
এইখানে
শোনা
সাউন্ড
যাচ্ছে।
কম ছিল।
ওকে
হ্যাঁ,
ওকে, গুড ইভিনিং ঠাকুরদা।
গুড ইভিনিং।
আমরা এখন তাহলে প্রেজেন্টেশনটা দেখে নেবেন নাকি শেয়ার হচ্ছে কিনা?
हाँ, देखे नीचे एक सेकंड, इसको ये करो, शेयर करो, अलाउ ना। हुआ नहीं, स्क्रीन पे आना चाहिए ना।
हो गए शेयर।
अच्छा, अब हुआ तो पूछ भी लेंगे। আসছে তো? ঠিক আছে,
হ্যাঁ, আসছে।
ওকে।
হ্যাঁ
চেঞ্জ
স্যার।
একটু দেখে নিন, আরেকটা নেক্সট স্লাইড করে চেঞ্জ হচ্ছে কিনা।
আচ্ছা, হচ্ছে।
হ্যাঁ, ঠিক আছে। ওকে ওকে ওকে, তাহলে জাস্ট অফ করুন, আমরা শুরু করতে যাচ্ছি।
अच्छा, एक है इसको ऑफ अभी करके बाद में स्क्रीन करेंगे इसकी।
सर एक इंट्रोडक्शन हो जाए सबका।
हाँ हाँ हाँ,
तो सबसे पहले तो मैं अपना इंट्रोडक्शन दे दूं।
जी जी।
मैं सुनील यादव, उत्तर प्रदेश के लखनऊ में चीफ फार्मासिस्ट के रूप में यहाँ का जो एक बड़ा चिकित्सालय है, वीआईपी चिकित्सालय, डॉक्टर एसपीएम हॉस्पिटल लखनऊ, उसमें कार्यरत हूँ। और मैं 2011 से लगातार उत्तर प्रदेश का स्टेट फार्मेसी काउंसिल का चेयरमैन रहा हूँ। और बड़ा मुझे फक्र होता है कि मुझे आशीर्वाद मिला है डॉक्टर ठाकुर सर का, फेडरेशन के एक पदाधिकारी के रूप में। और मैंने उत्तर प्रदेश में फार्मासिस्ट फेडरेशन का के प्रेसिडेंट के रूप में 2015 से मैं यहाँ काम कर रहा हूँ। और वर्तमान में यहाँ के डिप्लोमा फार्मासिस्ट एसोसिएशन का ऑफिशिएट कर रहा हूँ, प्रेसिडेंट को, उनके पद को, कार्यकारी प्रेसिडेंट। और मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगा कि जब ये आपका कार्यक्रम डिसाइड किया था डॉक्टर ठाकुर सर ने, तो मैंने भी उत्तर प्रदेश में इस कार्यक्रम को स्टार्ट किया है। तो चूंकि ये केवल इंट्रो था, इसलिए मैंने कहा कि सबसे पहले इंट्रो हो जाए। मैं आप सभी को बहुत बहुत प्रणाम करता हूँ, नमस्कार करता हूँ, अभिनंदन करता हूँ।
नमस्कार। ओके, तो ठाकुर दा, shall we start?
हाँ, ओके, स्टार्ट। दिल्ली से भी जुड़े हैं धीरेन्द्र शौकीन। अच्छा, उनका ये बंद है लगता है वीडियो। दिल्ली से भी लोग जुड़े हुए हैं। ओके ओके, यू स्टार्ट।
ओके,
अच्छा, आ गए वो। हाँ, उनका धीरेन्द्र शौकीन का भी ये कर लीजिए इंट्रोडक्शन अपना, प्लीज।
नमस्कार सर, मेरा नाम धीरेन्द्र है और मैं दिल्ली में कार्यरत हूँ एज फार्मासिस्ट। अभी आवाज मेरी काफी गूंजेगी क्योंकि मैं कहीं बाहर बैठा हूँ। मैं एक वॉलंटियर हूँ फार्मासिस्ट कॉम के लिए, फार्मेसी कॉम के लिए। मैं संगठन से जुड़ा हुआ हूँ लेकिन किसी पद पर नहीं हूँ। बाकी सर, आपको देख के सीख रहे हैं, आगे बढ़ने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, प्रोफेशन को उठाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। थैंक यू सर।
थैंक यू।
आज तो तुम्हारी लोग गुनवास है, कॉलेज है सभी। तो अरुण कुमार है, ये बड़ौनी से, बिहार से, रेलवे से। अरुण कुमार जी, आप भी अपना इंट्रोडक्शन दे दीजिए। हाँ, नहीं, अनम्यूट कीजिए, आपका म्यूट है। अनम्यूट। हाँ
अरुण कुमार
जी।
रेलवे हॉस्पिटल।
अच्छा, कुछ ये हो रहा, डिस्टरबेंस है कुछ।
ओके,
ठीक है। हाँ, अब चलिए, आप शुरू कीजिए अपना।
गुड इवनिंग
कल्याण।
एवरीबॉडी and greetings to all, respected all fellow pharmacists and all the professionals of pharmacy, our chief speaker and my dear students. At the outset, I, on behalf of management, faculty and staff members and students of Gupta College of Technological Sciences, Asansol, welcome you all in this webinar on the 75th year celebration of the Pharmacy Act. Just a little bit about the Pharmacy Act, because everything will be told by our chief speaker. Actually, in the pre-independence era, the formation of Pharmacy Act was actually started. Although it was entitled in India from 4th March 1948, but the drafting and other part, they all started long back. In this pre-independence area, there was practically no legislative control on drugs as well as profession of pharmacy. There was different act like Opium Act, Poison Act, Dangerous Drug Act in force, but these were not specific in nature and grossly inadequate in controlling the chaotic condition prevailing at that time. So this is causing great harm to the health of the people. it was found necessary to enact a law for regulation of the profession and practice of pharmacy. So then 1927, a resolution was passed by the Governor General in Council to use all provisional government to take immediate steps to control indiscriminate use of drug, to legislate for the standardization of the preparation and sale of drugs. So after that, 1928, there was formation of a drug inquiry committee. Then 1930, there was a committee under the chairmanship of late Colonel R.N. Chopra. Then there was a report publication in 1931. And then the first pharmacy institute in university level was started by Professor M.L. Stroff at the BHU. After that, there was no development for 14 years. But 1946, the pharmacy bill was introduced in the Legislative Assembly. And then the Pharmacy Bill 1947, passed by the Legislative Assembly, received its assent in 4th March 1948. And it came on the statute book as the Pharmacy Act 1948. Now, the existence of this act is entering the 75th year on 4th March 2022. So this 2022-2023 is the celebration year of the Pharmacy Act. As a part of this celebration, today we have this evening a prominent person in the profession of pharmacy to enlighten us about the history and the provisions of the Pharmacy Act. Dr. R.S. Thakur, presently he is chief editor of Journal of Pharmaceutical Research that was published by Kupanidhi College of Pharmacy, Bangalore. Dr. Thakur did his D.Pharm from Pharmacy School, Agamkuan, Patna. He did his B.Pharm, M.Pharm and PhD from Jadavpur University, Kolkata. He is the associate, he has also got associate diploma of Institution of Chemists, India, fellow of Institution of Chemists, India, chartered chemist, Institution of Chemists in India. He worked as pharmacist, he worked as manager QC and R&D, he worked as senior research fellow, he also worked as Assistant Secretary, Pharmacy Council of India for almost more than 7 years. And he also worked between 1994 and 1996 as Secretary, Pharmacy Council of India. He was a director in Santosh Medical College, Ghaziabad, and he was also a professor and head of the Department of Pharmaceutics, Kupanidhi College of Pharmacy, Bangalore. He was also worked as director, LV Institute of Nursing Sciences, Patna, and he worked as a dean in Ranchi College of Pharmacy. He has also received Best Pharmacist Award in 1986 by Joint Council of Pharmacy, Delhi, Acharya P.C. Roy Memorial Gold Medal in 1990 by IPA Bengal Branch, First Pharmalite National Award 2017 by Assam, India, Eminent Personality Award in 2019, Ashwas Healthcare, Thiruvananthapuram, India. He is the editorial board member of Karnataka State Pharmacy Council, newsletter, member of expert committee for amendment of Karnataka State Pharmacy Council rules, resource person for continuing education program for pharmacists in Kerala State Pharmacy Council, Coal India Limited, ACCL Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh, then Coal India Limited, NCL, Singrauli MP, then AP Pharmacy Council, Hyderabad, Indian Airlines, New Delhi, Coal India BCCL, Dhanbad, Coal India CCL, Ranchi, and Karnataka State Pharmacy Council, Bangalore. He has published 60 publications, scientific papers in different national, international journals. He has presented 118 papers in different conferences, and he has published different professional and review articles in different periodicals, almost 180. He has guided 55 M.Pharm students and 2 PhD students. He previously he was the president of Atomic Energy Workers Union, secretary Indian Hospital Pharmacist Association, president of All India Pharmacy Students Union, president of Coal India Pharmacist Association, convener Joint Action Committee of Pharmacist Association and Pharmacy Student Association, Honorary Secretary, Indian Pharmaceutical Association, Bengal Branch, President, Joint Council of Pharmacists, Member, Pharmacy Council of India, Founder, Chief Editor of Journal of Pharmaceutical Research, Editor-in-Chief in Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences, and President of Indian Pharmacist Organization. So, Dr. R.S. Thakur is a very versatile person. I think our students will be got more knowledge about the Pharmacy Act, and they will be enlightened by his speech. So, without wasting much of time, I am now inviting Dr. R.S. Thakur to deliver his speech. Dr. R.S. Thakur, please.
Thank you, Kalyan. Thank you so much. I'm thankful that you have given me this opportunity, and a quite large number of dignified pharmacists from other places have also joined this event, besides your students and faculty members. So, friends, today our topic is the Great Journey, Pharmacy Act, a kaleidoscope, and each and every word of this is very important for all of us, because all of us are connected only through this Pharmacy Act. If this act was not there, pharmacy courses were not there, and we could not have become pharmacists, and it is only because we are pharmacists, that's why we are connected to each other. So all credit goes to Pharmacy Act and the people who brought this act for welfare of public, especially in the healthcare sector. And as explained by the principal, Dr. Kalyan Sen, that a long journey Pharmacy Act had to perform before it became an act, right from 1927 till 1948, a long 22-year period it took. Friends, so as we are in 75th year of the act, and all of us know that 25th year silver jubilee, 58th year golden jubilee, 100 year will be centenary, and this 75th is in between this golden jubilee and centenary celebration. And incidentally, this is also coinciding with our Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, or 75 years of independence of India, because this act is an act of independent India, not of British India, although all the activities for it started in the British India. So at the very outset, यहाँ नहीं आ रहा. अच्छा. Screen is there, ना? Screen is visible.
It is not visible.
No,
Not visible. Yes, yes. Some problem is there. 1 second.
Yes, visible, sir.
And now visible.
No, again gone. Some problem is there. Entire screen. Share now. लूज है कहीं क्या?
नहीं यहाँ तो लिखा हुआ है शेयरिंग और
शेयरिंग का ये तो आने था.
यहाँ लिखा है ना.
आ गया सर.
अच्छा, आ गया. ओके, ठीक है. तो यहाँ से हम देख.
वो जो प्रेजेंट
ओके, सो आ रहा ना? अब आवाज नहीं आ रहा.
वो म्यूटेड है.
अच्छा,
And now
स्क्रीन
it
आ
is
रहा
come.
तो.
Now it is
Okay.
come.
Okay. So first we begin with paying homage to all those martyrs who sacrificed their life for independence of this country. And on this, I composed yesterday only. I composed these 2 lines. फक्र आजादी का हमको अमर शहीदों पर अभिमान, श्रद्धा सुमन अर्पित करता हूँ, कोट कोट प्रणाम. So paying respect to the martyrs of independence movement, because of whom we got India independent. After that, we begin with our main topic of Pharmacy Act का अमृत महोत्सव और 75 years of Pharmacy Act. So, it was the groundwork for the Pharmacy Act had started in the year 1927, and event-wise we will come to that. And the effect of that 1927 awareness about drugs, pharmaceuticals, especially the patent and proprietary medicines, and the effect it had on public health, especially the side effects or very substandard drugs were being imported into India from abroad, because those days in India, very few companies were there. In 1901, Bengal Chemical was started in Calcutta. After that, in 1907, Alembic was started in Baroda. So very few products were manufactured here. Everything was coming from abroad, and those manufacturers abroad they were taking advantage or undue advantage of this and sending all sorts of substandard drugs to India, which was playing havoc with the life of people. So that was the main reason of demand for a drug act and a pharmacy act. So all the feelings of the people of this country was expressed before the Drugs Inquiry Committee, which was set up in 1930 on 11th August 1930. And that committee submitted its report on 29th March 1931. And there they gave all details on the basis of which the Pharmacy Act was drafted 14 years after that in 1945 and published in the Gazette on 8th December 1945. So before going to details of these, few technical terms are there, and these people confuse at times. What is bill? What is act? What is rules? What are regulations? Then sections, subsections, clause, subclause. So friends, act is the final form of the law, which comes after it is passed by the legislature and signed by the president now in the Republic of India, or before that in the independent India, the Governor General was there. So both the houses of legislature had to pass it, and then it goes to the head of state, which is president now, and then it was Governor General, to whom him and when he signs, then it becomes act. So initially, the draft of the act is a bill. The bill is brought before the legislature, in case of a state before the Vidhan Sabha, Vidhan Parishad, if bicameral house is there, otherwise Vidhan Sabha. And after passing that, then it goes to governor for the state act. Since it was central act, so it was considered by the Legislative Assembly of India, and thereafter when India became independent, then the Constituent Assembly of India, after passing by the Constituent Assembly, then it went to Governor General. So at that stage, till it is with the legislature and passed by the legislature, it is called bill. And when the bill is signed by the president or that time by the Governor General, then it became act, and thereafter it is implemented. For implementation of the act, rules are made and regulations are made. So only it is the act which has origin from legislature, parliament in the case of central acts, or state Vidhan Sabha, Vidhan Parishad in case of state acts. The rules are made under the act. They are not made by the legislature. The rules are made by the department of the government or ministry of the government, which will implement it. And regulations are made by the authorities under the act for their internal functioning. So these are the differences in bill, act, rules, regulations. In the case of act, all the numericals 1, 2, 3, 4, those are called sections. And if those sections are to be expanded, then subsections are put there. If subsections are to be further expanded, then clause. And if clauses are to further extended, then subclause. And their specification is like this. Section will be just this number, subsection, number within the bracket after this or under this, and clause will be alphabet, lowercase, within bracket, and subclause, this Roman lowercase 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the difference between section, subsection, clause, subclause, and it's better to know, otherwise we jumble with each other. So that's why it was just for informative purpose, general purpose. So if we go to the background, why the Pharmacy Act came, or the Drugs Act also, both came because of that Chopra Committee or Drugs Inquiry Committee report only. So the route starts from January 1927. In January 1927 at Lahore, that time in India, 14th Indian Science Congress was held, conference was held, and that Congress was chaired by Sir Jagdish Chandra Bose. In that Congress, much dissatisfaction was expressed against the quality of drug which is coming into India from abroad, as also the people who deal in these drugs. And there was a demand that there should be a procedure or some control by the government over the quality of medicines and quality of the people who handle these medicines, that is, sell or distribute these medicines or dispense the medicines, compound the medicines, prepare the medicines, or all these, both should be standardized and legalized properly, so that unqualified people, they don't enter the profession of pharmacy. Then when these reports came in public domain through newspapers, then one member of the then Council of Estates, that is now Rajya Sabha, the upper house, his name was Ahmad Ibrahim Harun Jafar. He belonged to Karachi. So he brought a motion in the Council of Estates on 9th March 1927, and his motion was like this. This council recommends to the Governor General in Council to urge all provincial governments to take immediate measures to control the craze for medicinal drugs by legislation for the standardization of the preparation and sale of such drugs. When this motion was brought on 9th March 1927, and our act came on 4th March 1948. So long 21 years that journey for this act. That's why it's a great journey. After that, this Indian Medical Gazette in May 1928 published one research paper in which the people who were the authors were Lieutenant Colonel J.W.D. Mega, Sudhamay Ghosh, and N.R. Chatterjee, all from Calcutta. And this paper, even this Indian Medical Journal was that time being published from there. And their presentation or research was on quality of a stock solution of quinine. They found that out of 90 stock solutions, no less than 23 or 25.5% were 25% or more weaker than the stated strength. This was the quality, 1/4 strength. If it claims 100 mg, there only 25 mg was there. And out of 99, or while 9 of those were 50% or more below the stated strength, and if deficiencies of 10% or more are regarded as significant, it is found that 40% of the solutions are deficient. So this was how quinine was being adulterated or substituted, and its effect was that in India, that time in 1928, 1.1% of the population of India was dying out of malaria, because of malaria. And that 1.1% of India that time counted to 40 lakh or 4 million Indians were dying in 1928 because of malaria. And in next slide, we will see that this matter was raised in the Legislative Assembly. And what happened there? What is the presentation there? On 4th September, so in May that report came, and on 4th September 1928, in the Legislative Assembly of India, a member or MLA, Lieutenant Colonel Henry A.J. Gidney, he moved an adjournment motion in the House, and the title of that motion was Quinine Fraud. And he told the House that if these 40 lakh people, Indians who are dying, if their dead body is stacked one after another, one beside the other, then it will cover 2,400 miles or 3,680 kilometers. That is from Kargil to Kanyakumari. The entire stretch will be filled by the dead body. So that was the disastrous condition which was prevailing because of the quality of one drug, that was quinine. But unfortunately, motion was not successful. Nevertheless, it had effect on the functioning of the government, and it stirred the conscience of the government. And on 11th August 1930, the Government of India, Department of Education, Health and Land, they issued one resolution appointing the Drugs Inquiry Committee. So this was this is the resolution which was brought by the government appointing the Drugs Inquiry Committee headed by Lieutenant Colonel R.N. Chopra. And thereafter, the process for the Pharmacy Act started. So if we open the Pharmacy Act book, the first page, everybody might have seen this, the Pharmacy Act 1948, within bracket 8 of 1948, and on the right side 4th March 1948. So this is 4th March is significant. It was on this day that this pharmacy bill, which was passed by the Constituent Assembly of India, got assent of the then Governor General, and it became Act. And the purpose of the Act was to regulate the profession of pharmacy. So this is how the Act is before us. Now, we find the root that what had happened on the 9th March. And what I have told, these are the evidences which are available in the Library of Parliament of India. And they preserved these debates in the House of Council of Estates of 9th March 1927. There, all the whatever I have quoted or told, that is there. And this was like this. This was the business agenda of that day. Wednesday, 9th March 1927. First, as usual, members sworn, then question answer, then resolution regarding control of the craze for medicinal drugs adopted as amended. And you see how much discussion was here held on this issue. Page number 515 to 525, 16 page, printed 16-page discussion. So many people there took part. And this was the resolution as was told earlier. The Council recommends to the Governor General in Council to urge all provincial governments to take immediate measures to control the craze for medicinal drugs by legislation for the standardization of the preparation for which the Drugs Act came and sale of such drugs for which the Pharmacy Act came. That in sale of such persons, the quality of the people, that is elaborated in the discussions. So this was the discussion before, and what the honorable member, he had told in the House that whatever I am telling is on the basis of the deliberations in the Indian Science Congress. The Indian Science Congress held at Lahore recently that gave grave warning that were uttered by experts. So based on this, his motion was there, but this motion was, and he had told that every mail from Europe brings to India the practitioners in India a number of new drugs for which the chief evidence of efficacy depends upon their trial in a few cases of a particular disease treated mostly by individuals who are not trained investigators. The majority of the so-called remedies have a very short life, but during this period, they often enjoy a rich harvest of patronage. They are, however, useless, and practitioners frequently try them on many of their patients without doing least any good to the patient. So that was the state of affairs that time, which invigorated the legislature of India to demand for Drugs Act and Pharmacy Act. Finally, that resolution was partly amended and then it was adopted. And instead of immediate step, it was the word immediate was replaced by such a step as may be possible. All other things remained same. Standardization of the preparation and for the sale of such drugs, that is quality of the people who will sell and deal in such drug, prepare such drug, dispense such drug. And on September 1928 by Henry Gidney, so that time it came in the Legislative Assembly, and from this symbol you can guess that this is the symbol of slavery of India. It was this Union crown that is imposed upon Indian legislature to demonstrate that you are slave controlled by the British crown. This was the symbol of Legislative Assembly. And here the matter was listed here. On 4th September 1928, motion for adjournment. This motion for adjournment, quinine fraud, motion disallowed, and the discussion was 4-page lengthy. It is 154 to 157 page on this discussion. Long discussion took place, but ultimately House was not adjourned, but it awakened the government to take steps, measures for appointment of the Drugs Inquiry Committee. So this is the details of the motion by the mover, Lieutenant Colonel Henry A. J. Gidley, who explained all the things what I have told you earlier about the 101% of Indian population dying out of this quinine quality, substandard quinine. So this was the discussion held, all lengthy discussion, and here you can find he is asking, otherwise it would have awakened, that is government would have awakened to its responsibility years ago and introduced a Food and Drug Act, a Pharmacy Act, and a Poison Bill, and insisted on all being suitably qualified, all chemists being suitably qualified. The next point is the urgency of the matter, for which emotion was not allowed. That the chairman of the house, he felt that it is not so urgent, the government to take cognizance of it and they take appropriate step in this direction. So that's why the motion was disallowed. House was not urgent, it continued with its other business on the agenda. So after that, when the Drugs Inquiry Committee report came in 1931, thereafter first the drugs bill came and was passed in 1940 and got assent of the Governor General, and Drugs Act came into effect. But for Pharmacy Act, the irony was that after the Drugs Act was passed, the Second World War broke and Britain was a party to that. So India was also dragged in the act forcefully and everything became standstill. So that's why only after the Second World was over in 1946, the bill was drafted in 1945 and published in the Gazette on 8th December 1945 and then introduced in the Legislative Assembly on 21st January 1946. And on 8th February 1946, it came up for forwarding the bill to Select Committee. So this is how on 21st January 1946, the bill was brought before the 6th Legislative Assembly in the British India. And this is the agenda here. Pharmacy Bill introduced, page number 67 of the debate of this day. And this is how the bill, as usual, the introducer or the Secretary of Education Department, because at that time the Secretary in the British India, they had all the powers of the minister. So he took permission from the chairman. So he said, "Sir, I move for leave to introduce a bill to regulate the profession of pharmacy." The chairman put the bill to the house. The motion was adopted. When the motion was adopted, then the secretary, Mr. Olsenham, he introduced the bill. "Sir, I introduced the bill." And by that time, lunch time had come. So house was adjourned or post-lunch session. So bill was introduced on 21st of January, and then on 8th of February, it was enlisted in the business of the house for discussion to refer the bill to a select committee. So this you can see in the agenda of Friday, 8th February 1946. Pharmacy Bill, discussion on the motion to refer to select committee not concluded. This discussion, although this 8-page discussion, printed discussion is there from page number 70 to 720 to page number 727. But so many members were interested to speak upon this, and the main conflict was that the mover of the motion, Mr. Olsenham, he wanted that the select committee should give its report before 25th February 1946. On 8th February, he is bringing the motion and he wants that within 17 days the committee should consider it and give its report, and conflict was on that point only. While introducing this motion, moving this motion, this para is important for us. In most countries, it is now recognized that in 1946 is telling the secretary to Government of India. In most countries, it is now recognized that the compounding and dispensing of medicines and the handling of patent drugs is a responsibility which should not be entrusted to untrained persons. In almost every country, there is an organized pharmaceutical profession consisting of members who have been trained and registered according to the requirements of the law. In India, the need for such regulation is increasingly urgent owing to the forthcoming institution of a system of control of drug standards, because by that time drug was existing for 5-6 years. However detailed the legal provisions may be, and however stringent the inspection and supervision, the control cannot be fully effective unless there is available a body of pharmacists who can be relied on by reasons of their education and training to exercise care. So this underscores or underlines the importance of pharmacists held by the then Secretary of Health, Government of India, Mr. S.H.Y. Olsenham, or the British government. That is the importance of pharmacy explained in his speech before the Legislative Assembly. So a lengthy speech he gave. Other members also joined. Mr. Ahmad Ibrahim Harun Jafar, he is the person who had raised the issue on 9th March 1927. He only initiated all things, so he also participated in it, and he wanted that instead of 25th of February, 26th of February 1946, the select committee should be given time up to by the end of June 1946. So this he wanted, for he gave his own grounds. And then Dr. G.V. Deshmukh, another MLA from Bombay, he wanted that the select committee should be given time up to 30th April instead of 26th February. So there was conflict of opinion, and long discussion took place till the House completed its time. The time fixed for the House of that day was over on 8th February 1946, and therefore the Assembly adjourned till 11 of the clock on Monday, the 11th February, because Saturday, Sunday was 8th and 9th and 10th. So on 8th February, the House adjourned for 11th February 1946. But again, this matter for 11th February, another business is already decided by the business committee of the House. So again, this pharmacy bill could not come in that session, and that is how it lengthened till 1948. So in between, what happened is on 15th August, India became independent, and the Legislative Assembly, it converted into the Constituent Assembly of India. So in the Constituent Assembly, again, this bill was brought in 1947, published in the Gazette on 29th November 1947, and then introduced in the Constituent Assembly. So now India was independent. So that symbol of independence is this here, that the logo had changed. For the Legislative Assembly, the logo was British Crown. Now this logo was adopted by Government of India. But of course, this also has changed after 26th January 1950, when India became a republic. So now only this Ashoka Stambh is there, and here Satyamev Jayate. So this also is placed. But for Constituent Assembly, this was the logo or emblem. So here on Constituent Assembly, that bill which was published in December 1947. On 12th December 1947, the bill was again introduced in the Constituent Assembly. And this time India had a health minister. So here you can see in the business agenda of that day, 12th December 1947, pharmacy bill referred to select committee, and this long discussion, page number 1817 to 24. 8-page discussion took place on it, and finally it was referred to select committee. So this is Raj Kumari Amrit Kaur, the first health minister of independent India. Credit goes to her to bring the pharmacy bill, get it passed. And she introduced a motion on that day, that the bill to regulate the profession of pharmacy be referred to a select committee consisting of Sri L. Krishnaswamy Bharti, Dr. V. Subramaniam, Sri Vinayak Rao V. Vaidya, Dr. H.C. Mukherjee, Dr. R.K. Sidhwa, Pandit Mukut Bihari Lal Bhargava, Mrs. Renuka Ray, Kaji Sayyid Karimuddin, Sri M.S. Anne, Sri O.V. Algation, Sri Bikram Lal Sodhi, Professor Yaswant Rai, Dr. P.S. Deshmukh, and the movers, with instruction to report on the opening day of the next session of the assembly, and that the number of members whose presence shall be necessary to constitute a meeting of the committee shall be 5. And in this, while moving this motion for sending the bill to select committee, the health minister, how much importance he gave to the bill, that we can see from her speech before the House. Sir, in asking the House to accept this motion, I would just like to say a few words about the very unsatisfactory position that exists today. There is no authority whatsoever to regulate the profession and the practice of pharmacy. The practice is largely in the hands of persons known as compounders, and they are both trained and untrained. The profession is unorganized. There is no provision for registration. There is no check to prevent untrained persons from undertaking this very responsible work of compounding and dispensing medicines without any restrictions. Compounders are trained today in provinces, but the training is not of a high enough standard. A Drugs Act actually exists to control the quality of drugs that are imported and those that are manufactured at home. But how can this act be effective if we have not got an organized and trained profession of pharmacists for dispensing those very drugs? The position in advanced countries is that every pharmacist is required by law to be registered, and he cannot be registered unless he has gone through a particular course of studies and passed an approved examination. I submit that it is only right that we also should have such a rule in our country. This bill that has been brought forward is intended to remedy these glaring defects. It is sought to provide central and provincial councils that will not only prescribe minimum standards of training and qualification, but will also inspect training institutions and will maintain registers of qualified persons. It is absolutely necessary that dispensing by unqualified persons should be stopped. The bill was actually introduced in January 1946. It was circulated for opinion to all provincial governments and later circulated again. Replies have been received. The bill was drafted after consideration of those replies. The measure is long overdue. I therefore hope that the House will have no hesitation in accepting the motion to refer it to select committee. And on this motion, many members of the House, they participated in the discussion, that include Sri H.B. Kamath, Sri T.T. Krishnamachari, who was later Finance Minister of India. Their speeches continue. You can go through it. Those who are interested, you can take the all these, and you can study details, how detailed studies they had done of the issue and how knowledgeable our legislatures were those days, not like today. And this is all the discussion going on. This is the details of. Then another member who took part in the discussion was Dr. P. Pattabi Sitaramaiah, founder of Andhra Bank, now merged to Union Bank of India, and he was also the person who had contested against Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose for presidency of Congress, but he lost to Subhash Chandra Bose. P. Pattabi Sitaramaiah, then Sri Ram Sahai, he participated in the discussion. Thereafter, again, Dr. B. Pattabi Sitaramaiah. Ram Sahai. Then Satyanarayan Sinha from Bihar. He wanted that in the select committee, one more person, Dr. Dharam Prakash, should be added. And finally, the minister agreed to that. Yes, I am agreeable. The speaker asked, is the honorable minister agreeable? She said, yes, I am agreeable. Then finally, the minister replied on whatever all those persons had spoken. So minister gave the reply, and in her reply, she said, sir, I am very grateful to the House for the kind reception which was given to my motion and for the support that I have had and the recognition from them that a matter of this nature is very necessary. I need hardly assure all the speakers that the suggestions that they have put forward will receive the greatest consideration when the bill is referred to select committee. I agree with one of the speakers who said that unless we properly control all systems of medicine, including our own indigenous medicines, we shall not really get very far. I am hoping great things from the report which is shortly expected of the Committee on Indigenous System of Medicine, and I hope it will be possible to standardize their practice and profession of pharmacy, no less than those who dispense medicines for allopathy. I do not think I need say any more at this stage except express my gratitude once again to the House for accepting the motion. Then the motion was adopted and the bill was referred to the select committee. The select committee met and they submitted their report on 28th January 1948. In the report, they say, we the undersigned members of the select committee to which the bill to regulate the profession and practice of pharmacy was referred, have considered the bill and have now the honor to submit this, our report, with the bill as amended by us, annexed thereto. We have made certain amendments in the bill and the important ones are as follows. The amendments they suggested was in clause 2 or definition of registered medical practitioner. In clause 3, in the constitution of the Pharmacy Council of India, they wanted more representation from states. That is, those days states were not there. States all reconstituted after the India became a republic. So that time only governors provinces were there and princely states were there, which were merged into India by Sardar Patel. So they were there, and also more representation from universities who provide pharmacy education, that is teachers representation, so that in constitution of the or membership of the Pharmacy Council of India that was suggested. Another suggestion from the important suggestion had come from the select committee was about the term of membership of the member who become member being a member of the teaching faculty or who become a member by virtue of being a registered pharmacist. So for them, they suggested that once they are not on a member of the teaching faculty, not employed in a college which gives pharmacy qualification, then he will cease to be a member. Same will happen to registered pharmacy. If he is no more registered as a pharmacist, he will cease to be a member of the Pharmacy Council of India. So this was on this. Then in clause 8 about the first appointment of the registrar or secretary, that for the first 4 years the person shall be appointed by the central government in case of Central Council or PCI. In section 12, recognition of the institutions who grant a pharmacy qualification. In that they inserted one additional subclause or subsection in the act, in the bill subclause, that the Pharmacy Council of India will have power to inspect the institution whom they recognize. And clause 14 is approval of the foreign qualification for registration in India. So there they suggested that only such qualifications will be recognized if Indians holding such qualification are allowed to practice pharmacy in that country, then only that qualification will be recognized in India for registration as pharmacist, in clause 14. And in clause 18, that power to make regulation for the functioning of the Pharmacy Council of India. There, the original provision was that the Pharmacy Council of India itself will make the regulation, but they put a rider that the central government has to approve that. The prior approval of central government will be necessary for making regulations by Pharmacy Council of India. Then clause 25 is similar to clause 7 of, in the case of Central Council, it is for a state council, that here also the member shall be deemed to have vacated his seat if he is a registered pharmacist, like in section 19A and 19B. 19A, all the 6 they have to be registered pharmacists. 19B, out of 5 state nominees, at least 3 has to be registered pharmacists. So for them also, if they cease to be registered pharmacists, they will also cease to be member of the State Pharmacy Council. And 26 is similar to 8 of, for in case of Central Council, that here also the registrar for the first 4 years of the constitution of the State Pharmacy Council, the registrar shall be a person appointed by the state government who will function till the pleasure of the state government. Then in clause 37, that is, after a name is removed under section 36 of the Pharmacy Act from the register of any registered pharmacist, then for restoration of his name, what procedure should be followed? For that also they made a provision. Then in clause 41 or section 41, that if a person is not a registered pharmacist, then he cannot use any term which may reflect that he is a registered pharmacist. That is the importance of falsely claiming to be a registered pharmacist. That is the importance of section 41, and this is also punishable. So this was introduced by the select committee. Then in 42 or section 42, where dispensing by unregistered persons, so they introduced that this fine, 6 months imprisonment or 1,000 fine, or both. It was introduced by the select committee, and you can imagine in 1948 how much value was of this 1,000 rupees. So this was done by the select committee. Then in clause 44, 44 is for the 1/4 share the State Pharmacy Council sends to the Pharmacy Council of India. In the original bill, the provision was that it should be 1/6, but the select committee thought that 1/6 will be too less for the Central Council to function. So they increased it to 1/4 share to be sent to. And this was the contribution of solely of the select committee, that they introduced section 45. And this is the section under which commission of inquiry can be instituted against Pharmacy Council of India by the central government, or against the State Pharmacy Council by the state government. So with these recommendations, they submitted their report to the council, and these members had signed. Rajkumari Amrit Kaur was Health Minister of India, and L. Krishnaswamy Bharati, V. Subramaniam, B. Vaidya, Mukut Bihari Lal Bhargava, Renuka Ray, Kazi Syed Karimuddin, O.V. Allegation, Vikram Lal Sodhi, Yashwant Rai, T.S. Deshmukh, and Dharam Prasad. These members were. So once the report came to the Legislative Assembly on 28th of January 1948, then it was listed in the business of the House for 5th February 1948. So here you can see the Constituent Assembly of India Legislative Debate Official Report, Volume 1, 1948. This volume contains the debates from 20th January to 16th February 1948. In that, this 5th February is important for us. And in the 5th February, this is the listing of the bill. So here, Pharmacy Bill passed as amended. Page number 262, page number 270, 11-page elaborate discussion on the report of the select committee, and then clause by clause, the bill was passed on this 5th February 1948 by the Constituent Assembly of India. So here in Constituent Assembly of India, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, the first Health Minister of India, she spoke, "Sir, I do not think there is any necessity for me to reiterate what I said when I asked leave to refer this bill to a select committee in the last session of the Assembly. As far as the urgent necessity of bringing a measure of this nature on the statute book is concerned, all honorable members are aware of the very unsatisfactory position that exists today in the matter of the practice and profession of pharmacy. But perhaps it might be as well for me, from the point of view of informing the House, just to say something about the Drugs Act, which was passed in 1940, and the drugs rules framed under it, which were brought into force in April 1945. It will be. This is a printing mistake. The Pharmacy Bill is really a necessary corollary to the Drugs Act, which cannot work effectively until the Pharmacy Bill is on the statute book. The Drugs Act and the drug rules prescribe the standards of the quality of drugs that can be imported into or manufactured, stocked, and sold in India. They also provide for the licensing of import, manufacture, and sale in India of drugs under suitable conditions. There is a central drugs laboratory which has its headquarters at Calcutta, responsible for registering the formulation of patent medicines. The Provisional Council enforce the drug rules in their respective provinces, and the Central Council coordinates such action from the center to the extent possible. Now, the drug rules regulating the retail sale of drugs stipulate that certain specified poisons and all medicines which are compounded on the prescription of medical practitioners can only be sold by or under the direct supervision of a qualified person, that is to say, a qualified pharmacist. The Pharmacy Bill, therefore, when passed, will enable us to put the profession of pharmacy on a satisfactory basis. The Central Pharmacy Council, as will be seen from the bill, will lay down the minimum standards required for the training of pharmacists, and the provisional councils will maintain their register and attend the questions of professional discipline. In this sense, also, the bill now before the House is really complementary to the Drugs Act, which is already functioning. So this was the introductory speech of the Health Minister, and then other members also, they participated in the discussion. That included Seth Govind Das, then R.K. Sidhwa, Kazi Syed Karimuddin, again R.K. Sidhwa, then Dr. Sri Vishwanath Das from Odisha, after Mr. Tajmul Hussain, Bihar, Sri H.B. Kamath, CPN Berar, H.B. Kamath continuing lengthy speech he has given there, and that is mostly about Ayurveda. Then Dr. B. Pattabi Sitaramaiya, then finally the health minister is replying, and in her reply again she has reiterated the same thing, and after that the motion was taken. So the speaker says the question is that the bill to regulate the profession of pharmacy as reported, this is on 5th of February 1948, as reported by the select committee, be taken into consideration. The motion was adopted by the House. Then, Mr. Speaker, we might take the bill clause by clause. So 1 to 46 all were taken one by one, and the members, they deliberated on each and every clause or section of the Pharmacy Act, as you can see from this lengthy discussion which went on in the House. So this is how the bill, then clause 2 was added to the bill as it was. The motion was adopted, it was ordered. Clause 2 means section 2 of the Pharmacy Act. Then 2 and 3. Then 3, like this, all the clauses or sections were added into the bill which was passed one by one. And so this way the matter proceeded. This is about clause 7 or section 7. So clause 7 was added to the bill. 4, 5, 6 here. The motion was adopted. So clause 8 of the bill was added. Like this 9, 10, 11, 12, all up to 46, each and every one. 9, 10 here. On some discussions are there, on others just it was passed to the satisfaction of all the members. 13, 14, 15, 15 adopted, 15 was added to the bill, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 to 24 added to the bill, and 25 will come. So like that one by one, 25, 26, 26, 26 was as amended, added to the bill, 27, 28 added to the bill. So some with amendment, some as such, as presented by the select committee. 29 continued, 29, then 30 to 33 were added. Like this. 2.5 hours it was considered, and then 34. See, about the third section 36, that is removal from the register. On this also so much discussion was held. And then finally, so not simply blindly passed. See the interest of the members, how much interested they were on the legislation and quality of legislation and its impact on health of the people. And clause 35 to 40 added to the bill. So here you can see time, 1 p.m. It had started from 11:30, 1 p.m. it had reached here, and still it is continuing. Then clause 41, 42 to 44 was added. Thereafter 45 will come. That clause 45 as amended stands part of the bill. This was added. The motion was adopted. So 2 to 45 clause by clause was taken. Then 1, that is the preamble, and 46, that is the final power to make rules by the state government. That was added. The title and the preamble were added to the bill. The assembly then adjourned. So almost at 1:30 by lunchtime, from 11:30 to 1:30 for 2 hours, this lengthy discussion, and finally on 5th February 1948, the Constituent Assembly of India passed the pharmacy bill. The assembly then adjourned for lunch till 2:30 of the clock. That was how the bill was passed, and then the Constituent Assembly sent it to Governor General for his signature. So Constituent Assembly of India Legislative passed the bill on 5th February 1948. Then it goes to Governor. He signs on, Governor General, he signs on 4th March. And on 4th March, it became Pharmacy Act. So this is a long journey from 1927 to 1948. From January 1927, originating at the 14th Indian Science Congress held at Lahore, and then 4th March 1948, that it came into action on the statute book as Pharmacy Act. So this is what I wanted to communicate to all of you, just to apprise everyone, because we must know the history, our own. As we are concerned about our own culture, our traditions, we want to maintain it. We don't want to compromise on that. Same is with our, how, why, when, and for whom. So all these are addressed in why this bill was brought, because public welfare was the main interest of our legislatures. They were more concerned about the health of the people, and the medicines that were available in the market, and people who were handling these medicines were so hopeless. Standard quality of both the person who was handling the medicine and the quality of the medicine itself, and that's why they were so agitated. So they wanted this act in greater public interest. So how they did it? They did it through all these lengthy procedures, one after another. The long struggle for the bill by the legislature. Finally, the government had to make it, and now the act is before us for last 74 years, 75th year it has already entered. Now it is the right time to analyze each and every section of the act, go through it in details, and what in 75 years, 74 years, much development is there in the field of medicine, and especially in pharmacy. Very fast development is there at rocket speed. So many things need to be updated, upgraded, and on a better scale, or making it more conducive for the society to enjoy the benefits from the modern allopathic medicines, which is being indiscriminately used by not only qualified doctors but unqualified people also. Self-medication is also rampant, and medicines are being handled by non-pharmacists also. So all those issues are there. So my main intention was to apprise people, all those who are concerned with this, and then they discuss on it in each and every corner, in each and every part of the country, come out with constructive suggestions, so that collectively that can be taken with the government for making the Pharmacy Act more functional, more public welfare oriented, and so on. Thank you. If anybody has questions, that you can ask me. Thank you so much for the patient hearing.
Thank you very much. Now we will take very few questions, because Dr. R.S. Thakur explained, illustrated a great history behind the formation of Pharmacy Act. So 2 or 3 questions from our student or dignitaries. Please put your question or write it in your chat box.
Sir, my current question is regarding the introduce the D-Farm exit exam gadget by the PCI. Is it as per the Act of the Pharmacy Act or it is another matter?
Pharmacy Act is confined to Section 12 insofar as regulation of the course is concerned, approval of the course of a study, examination, course to be developed under Section 10. So that whatever regulation will say, that will be final. So whatever exam they want, that should be under the regulation. So regulation power is there under Section 10 of the Act. So how they will, Pharmacy Council will regulate the exam, regulate the course, that power is there. It should be in the regulation. If it is in regulation, it is legal.
Why only
If it is
for
in
why only for
Ah.
diploma pharmacies, not for the B?
That's why I told that all should discuss in groups across the country and come out with suggestions and all, so that everything can be streamlined. That is the main purpose of this celebrating 75th year. That in 74 years, whatever obstacles, lessons we had from it, that should be taken care of. So for that purpose only. So you can, through your organizations and all, you can discuss that. You can communicate to other organizations also. All should consider it, and then collectively it should be, but not that one from one place, one from another place. Collectively we should move for it. That will be more useful and productive. Otherwise, 20 people there, 20 points are there, so all remain just scattered. Collectively, let us do it.
There is one question from Dhirendra Shokin. How
Yes, sir.
can we improve the status of pharmacy, and how more job opportunities can be generated in private and government sector? Dr. Thakur, please.
So that is only that Section 41 and 42, that has to be effective. That is the only section which prohibits others to demonstrate in any way that he is a registered pharmacist. If he is not a registered pharmacist, if they are punished, and under Section 42, no dispensing by unregistered person. If these two sections are implemented properly, but the power to implement it lies with the state government and executive committee of the state pharmacy councils. So our perhaps the state pharmacy councils also need to have workshop and all, especially on chapter 3, 4, and 5, how they have to function and to what extent, and for that how to utilize the powers given to them through the state government, because they are under the control of the state government. Their rule is to be made by the state government, how they will function. So in coordination with the state government, it is for the state council to, state council has final authority. They are the expert body in terms of legislation for all purposes. They are the expert body because they register the pharmacists. They have the disciplinary power against pharmacists, the removal of the name from the register under Section 36. So they have to find out ways and means for effective implementation of both Section 41 and 42. And both have these penal provisions. Both the sections have penal provisions. So if that is made functional, and that is to be done by the state council through a state government. They have to convince the state government that these are necessary and that should be pursued vigorously, and that also should be done jointly by all the state council, not that one is doing and another is sleeping. That also then people ask, oh, which state it is doing, which state not doing. So not that, all should coordinate among themselves, and in that central council can also guide them that how to proceed in the matter. but they have to be very, very active, rather proactive. They have to become the state pharmacy councils, and that will be possible when it is properly in proper hands, in the hands of pharmacists. Although Pharmacy Act provides for it, but the Bengal scenario, everyone knows how the council, it is a mockery of the Pharmacy Act, the Pharmacy Council of West Bengal. So,
Sir,
all those things for organizations, they have to be effective. Yes, sir. Jadavji.
sir, I think, do you agree,
हाँ.
sir, कि power of enforcement are very weak to state pharmacy council
Yes.
our enforcement of all the clause, yeah, all the rules for state pharmacy council are rules made for pharmacy institutions. The state pharmacy council, I think state pharmacy councils are very weak for enforcement.
Yes, yes. Yes, yes.
The second is एक मेरा क्वेश्चन और है सर कि in the veterinary pharmacy, in the veterinary pharmacy, we are totally zero.
Yes, yes.
As per Drug and Cosmetic Rule, as per Drug and Cosmetic Act, the veterinary pharmacy is a part of human pharmacy.
Yes, sir.
But
Yes,
in
sir.
the practical, sir. But in the
No,
practical, sir.
even in the Pharmacy Act, Section 2F, the definition of registered medical practitioner, so that covers dentists also and veterinarians also.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Yes, sir.
But in the practical, sir, any state, I don't know any state except Uttarakhand. There is no pharmacist posted in any veterinary hospital.
I see. अच्छा.
I think
That also very.
ये बहुत बड़ा पॉइंट है सर. इसको
ये बहुत very big. Yes, yes.
हालांकि आज का
And there also lot of employment. Lot of employment also will come.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Lot of employment also. As Virendra was talking, that also employment generation will be there also.
Right,
Yes,
sir. In fact, we did not know about it all at all about the journey. आपने बहुत विस्तार से सर बता दिया और हम ये कह सकते हैं कि द फार्मेसी एक्ट इज द वेरी वीक सेंटर फॉर इंडियन फार्मेसी एंड इंडियन फार्मासिस्ट.
इसको हिंदी में भी किया जा सकता है. हिंदी बेल्ट के लिए अगर ज्यादा वो पेनिट्रेटिंग होता है, ज्यादा एक्सेप्टेबल होता है. ये तो बंगाल में था इसलिए इंग्लिश में करना जरूरी था.
मुझे लगता है सर काफी लोगों ने मुझे क्वेश्चन किया है यूट्यूब पे, तो मुझे लगा कि इसको एक बार हिंदी में भी किया जाए तो ज्यादा अच्छा रहेगा.
हाँ, हिंदी में करेंगे. फिर आप डेट फिक्स कीजिए, हम पूरे को कन्वर्ट कर देंगे हिंदी में. पूरे को एकदम हिंदी ही होगा उसमें. हाँ, पूरे को कन्वर्ट कर दिया जाएगा.
थैंक यू सर.
उनके लिए वो ज्यादा पेनिट्रेटिंग होता है, एक्सेप्टेंस. और एक में है स्पीड से बोलना पड़ता है, टाइम का ये है. तो इसमें भी थोड़ा वो पहला वर्ड कंप्लीट जब तक सुना नहीं तब तक दूसरा आ जाता है.
यस सर.
तो हिंदी में इसको किया जाए बहुत अच्छा रहेगा.
बिल्कुल.
और यूपी में भी कीजिए, वो बिहार में भी करें, झारखंड, मध्य प्रदेश, राजस्थान.
नहीं सर, मैं
राजस्थान में भी एक प्रोग्राम, हाँ, उदयपुर में होने वाला है. उदयपुर से आ रहा है.
इसको बहुत जल्दी इसको करता हूँ सर. ऑनलाइन वेबिनार ही कर लेते हैं.
हाँ हाँ, ऑनलाइन है. उसमें क्या है, सबको इकट्ठा होना पड़ेगा, ऐसा कुछ नहीं. तो जैसे जैसे टाइम मिलता है. और आपने अच्छा किया फॉर ऑल द पार्टिसिपेंट्स. श्री Sunil Yadav ji, he is hosting one YouTube also. So to that also it is connected, the today's program. So he had also communicated it to so many places. So he is also partner of the program of this Gupta Institute of Technology.
It's my pleasure, sir. It's my pleasure, sir.
नहीं, अच्छा किया. अच्छा किया कि कल बात हुई और ये एक्सटेंड किया. जी.
So today we are concluding this session. So I must thank you, Dr. R.S. Thakur, for explaining, illustrating the struggle behind the formation of Pharmacy Act, the history behind the formation of the Pharmacy Act 1948, as he has told, which is the thread between us, which is joining us from one pharmacist with another pharmacist. So I think all dignitaries and our students are enlightened with his lucid lecture. Lucid, he explained very lucidly. I was just seeing that how much data he has collected from this 1927 to 1948, that long history. We are I think most of us are unknown, not known about this. So this is a great experience for each of us to listen Dr. R.S. Thakur regarding the development and formation of the Pharmacy Act. I once again thanks him for giving this lecture to our college, that is the Gupta College of Technological Sciences, Asansol. On behalf of everybody from this college, myself, Principal Dr. Kollan Kumar Sen, expressing gratitude and a lot of thanks to him. I also express my thanks to all dignitaries who are present from other parts of the country to make our program a grand success. I hope we all meet again in another program, another function with Dr. R.S. Thakur. The feedback link is given. If you give this feedback link, the e-certificate will be provided to everybody. This is the announcement for our students also. So you give feedback, you will get, but it may take a little bit of time, 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days. If you don't get immediately, do not confused. You will get within 1, 2, or 3 days. So I thanks everybody again, and Thakurda, I also thank a lot of thanks to you. And with this, we come to end of this session. And last talk from Thakurda.
So it was a great experience with all of you, and for all the data, I am especially indebted to the Lady of the Parliament of India. They have all these things, and since I was in Delhi between 1987 and 1996, so those days I was going to Parliament Library, and there
It is a great collection.
So because of that, it has been possible. So earlier
it is a great collection. I think I have not seen this kind of collection. It is a great one, great one.
Right, sir, right.
Okay. So thank you all very much for listening me. And then this Hindi program is arranged for Hindi belt. Then again we will make entire thing, everything will be in Hindi. एक एक बात सब हिंदी में पूरा लिखा भी और बोलना भी हो जाएगा. धन्यवाद. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks all the dignitaries also who are present in this session. So we are now concluding this session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Avantika, close the session.